Indiana Hoosiers are Big Ten champions in football. They were talking about World War II times for things happening since the last time. Curt Signetti took over this job just last year. And what he showed up at, they didn't have a weight room, barely had a locker room. Do we have any NIL? We got a lot of it, but they don't really do football. They mostly do basketball. Why don't they do football? Well, because football doesn't really exist. I mean, we haven't had a sold-out stadium in like 45 years or something like that. Why would you even focus on it? Curt Signetti immediately goes, I win. Google me. We're going to beat this team. We're going to beat this team. We're going to beat Michigan. Oh, yeah, and Ohio State, too. Last year, they go into Columbus and take on Ohio State and kind of show that they weren't ready for the moment just yet. They were having a great season, but they crumbled a little bit. I think they would say that if you were to ask them. Then they reload this year with some of the guys from last year. Curt Signetti has an entire offseason, a full NIL situation, a gym, a program, a city, a state, an entire group of people behind them, and they're the only undefeated team in the country. Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. Who's up for Coach of the Year? Who's up for Coach of the Year? How about this guy, Signetti, who is not only a walking, talking, electrifying individual who seemingly does everything the right way, but whatever you talk about evaluating talent on who you should spend money on, last year they were the transfer portal kings. They came into the Big Ten and created a football program. That's literally what they did. This year, he had to rebuild again. Lost a lot of the guys. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback that he decided to bring in out of Cal, probably the Heisman winner for good reason. In the Big Ten championship, he had his best game. In the fourth quarter, he had some of his best plays. And then he gets on a microphone and he goes, flip it, He's a little bit of a nerd. He's got a lot of sauce. And he's a guy that led this team to a Big Ten championship in that city of Blooming. This play right here. Boom, let me get that. That's his roommate, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that is his roommate. He had a massive game, and that's only going to continue with Omar Cooper and Surratt. And you talk about everything else they have cooking. It's like Indiana's for real. Indiana are the Big Ten champs in football. And the college football playoff world has to be worried about facing Indiana at the Rose Bowl in the second round. Now, that's 3.5 weeks away.
That's a long time.
It's too far.
Curt Signetti said, we won, I got 3.5 weeks to make sure this team's humble and hungry still. Jeez. Because if we look at what happened last year for the teams that got the bye into the second round, they all got their asses beat.
Yep.
Because the people that got to play in the first round seemingly found their groove, found their mojo, continued to play. Maybe even the first quarter, second quarter, not good because you're off 3 weeks instead or 2 weeks instead. So you still got to work off some of the rush. You get people back healthy? Yeah, but we just played our best football game. We just won the damn conference championship. Yeah, you got to do it again now in 3 weeks. That first round was good, I think, for some teams. Second round was not good for teams that had to bye. So we'll see if this year changes a little bit because it's not just the top four conference champions that are 1 through 4. Now it's the top 4 teams in the country. Congrats to Indiana being number 1 team in the country. Oh, yeah. That needs to be celebrated. That's a big-ass deal. Congrats insane. To Georgia. Congrats to Georgia. Yep. Congrats to Ohio State. Let's talk about that. We were there for the Big Ten championship game.
Wow.
It was electric in there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, last year's Big Ten championship, Penn State and Oregon, was loud. Penn State people were loud, not a lot of Oregon people, but we were kind of in their corner, so we felt it. We knew they were there. That was mostly Penn State people last year. This year, Indiana fans, big. Ohio State people, big.
Showed up.
I mean, that was an awesome environment. Light shows.
What was the split, you think?
I'd say 60-40 probably. 65, maybe 60-40, I'd say.
Indiana?
Yeah, Indiana, I'd say. But it was hard to tell.
It was close, though.
Because red.
Yeah, similar colors.
Yeah, so it was hard. But it was loud for the Hoosiers. Like, tone was obviously locked in from the jump. But the pyro, the light show, everything that happened for the game was loud. It felt big. It was an electrifying environment. Like, we were down at the SEC Championship down in Atlanta when we were on the sideline. Loud. Like, that's in an NFL stadium, comfortable stadium, and you could tell it was a college game. Like, I think the college atmosphere is different than the NFL atmosphere, especially in the stadiums. This one felt like a national championship. I mean, it was very loud. It was very real. And what the Hoosiers did was special, man, especially in the city. There's a lot of people crying from happiness. I heard Paul Feinbaum say, this was the least important number 1 versus number 2 game in history or whatever. It's like, well, Indiana doesn't have to see Georgia until the finals because they're number 1 team in the country. And also, they just won their first fucking Big Ten since World War II. You tell Hoosier fans that game did not matter, okay? And then you can also ask the Ohio State people if that game mattered or not. I'm still getting yelled at because I was shirtless with a hole in my jeans looking like a douchebag swag at a college football game from the people of Ohio. Pretty jacked, though, I must say. They were bouncing around, obviously, on the Jumbotron. I believe 2 before me, a man took off like a shirt but didn't go fully shirtless. And then they drop onto me and Tyrese Halliburton. I felt obligated. And that's the Ohio State section. Right behind us was the entire Ohio State fan base. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're having a good time in here. Yep. Yeah, got to do it. D-Bone's rocking his long hair, new life. Indiana, Mendoza, Boston, Connor over there on the left side. Bill going crazy. There's a Hoosier, by the way. Go back. Can you just go back? Look at the lower right corner. Paul Feinbaum. You think this game didn't matter? Look at that guy. Hammered drunk. I mean, absolutely hammered drunk. Yeah, it was a special night in there. It was a special night in there for Indiana. And I think they proved, maybe to the world, because Ohio State's a damn good football team. I mean, you watch them jog out right in front of us. And then Caleb Downs is doing his warm-ups. Arvell Reese is there. I mean, that's the biggest group of men I think I've ever seen assembled on a football. I mean, it is outrageous. And then for Indiana to win, special night. So you could say a game didn't matter. It did. Okay, especially with Indiana as the number 1 team in the country. That changes things for the CFP going forward. But also, this entire state was just awoke, brother, into becoming, if you weren't already, Indiana's for real and not a mockery. Because most times, I think a lot of even the hater Hoosier fans, football fans, were like, Ohio State's going to. This is Signetti's doing a lot of this. Boom, they're going to do that. Yeah, right. They win the Big Ten. I loved being there. It was a great environment. I lost my voice. I was very worried this morning that I was not going to have a voice because we enjoyed the hell out of the experience, man.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And you mentioned Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum's also a dipshit. When Signetti got his 8-year, $93 million extension, he said it was terrible. And now it's probably the best college coaching deal in America, especially because he's probably valued at more so $15 million, $13 million at least a year. Sig, you can't really say enough about him. I mean, the players he brought in, you mentioned, it's a lot of misfits. I forget, Pat Coogan gave the speech last week, and Mendoza kind of talked about it, about how they are a bunch of misfits. It's a bunch of guys who are from all over the country, and they came together, and Signetti was the kind of the glue to give them the confidence, let alone Mendoza. Mendoza is another guy you can't really say enough about. He got absolutely eviscerated on the first play of the game. He was on the ground. Clearly, I thought there was a chance.
We thought it was over.
It's bang. And Curry's a problem, first of all.
92. He's from Indianapolis. What the hell is he doing over there?
Yeah, hometown kid. Why don't you come back to IU, son? But that was insane. And you see that, and that's when you kind of think, like, okay, this is the difference. Ohio State, the physicality, the size, everything that they're about, you're about to see kind of how that separates them from everybody else. But then IU answers the call. I mean, Mendoza pops back up. His brother pops in for one snap, but then he's back into the game.
Place goes crazy when he jogs back in, by the way, as you could have expected. His brother's playing quarterback, Alberto Mendoza, and his family there. Beautiful moment after the game. And then Fernando comes jogging his ass back on in the next play. Place goes absolutely apeshit. Hard not to love Fernando Mendoza. He'll be joining us in about an hour.
Yeah, and that's part of the team, like next man up. Omar Cooper actually got hurt on the first drive. We really didn't see him, and that's when Charlie Becker kind of gets his opportunity again, similar to earlier in the season when Cooper went down and Becker went for 180 in one game. This is why Indiana is Indiana. They just don't care. They don't blink. If someone goes down, next guy is up. And Elijah Surratt's one of the best wide receivers in college football. Now, I say that also while looking at Jeremiah Smith pregame and saying to you guys, the gourd on me to think I could play college football when you see some of the guys on the field when it is Ohio State and IU. But it was one of those things where you can see this game happening again down the road because all year we don't talk about Ohio State because of how dominant they are. They're going to continue to go. I assume we're going to see them, even though Texas A&M is one of those teams that's going to play in the first round that you could see going on a run as well. But it was just fantastic to be there. Fantastic for a game to kind of feel as big as it truly was. Because if you think about last year, Penn State, Oregon, Big Ten championship, it didn't feel like how it felt in there on Saturday night. And, when you get to go to those big time games and they live up to the hype, I'm sure 13-10, you're watching at home, doesn't probably feel as special as it does inside of that stadium, but it was a hell of a ball game.
Yeah, it's like a pitcher's duel, like a good pitcher's duel, because it was electrifying. There was big moments throughout the low-scoring game.
And obviously, we're going to show the offensive highlights, big-time highlights, but that defense, defense showed both defenses. They're phenomenal defense, two best defenses in the country, but getting after Julian Sands' ass, he was sacked 5 times. I think coming into this game, he had only been sacked 6 times in the whole season. We know when pressure, that changes everything when it comes to the defense. You have those weapons. Jeremiah Smith, he's going to make fantastic plays, which he did, which he always will. But to kind of limit him from wrecking the game and getting after the quarterback, making him uncomfortable, like you said, you can't say enough about Sig. This is the best coaching job I know that I've ever seen in my lifetime when it comes to like big-time college level.
Just creating a program.
Yeah.
I mean, Indiana did not have a football program. Like that cannot be. They had people that put on pads and played football. But it was like in front of 250 people.
Legit.
Like actually 200. All the NIL money, basketball. Mark Cuban, everybody going to basketball. And then the basketball team hadn't won in a long time either. Then they hire Signetti, and I think if you ask the president, Pam Whitten, she comes from Georgia. I do believe her previous work was at Georgia, and she very much understands what the football team and what sports can do for a university. And it's like alignment from literally top all the way through the bottom on what the goal is. Because I think new president there, Pam, she wants to have her impact on the school too. And it's like, didn't have a football team. Now we have one because of an investment that we made. And then Signetti, whenever he's asked like, hey, do you want to go to Penn State? And he goes, no. You want to stay here? Yup. All right, we're going to do a new deal for you. Good. I'm going to watch this film. 2 days later, makes the announcement, I'm here until forever. Yeah, whatever the case is. It's like, this isn't just for now. This is for a foreseeable future, Ty Schmidt.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, and he said it on the show. Like, one of the first things he did when he got to IU was jump the AD's ass because, it wasn't like, hey, I'm not coming in here to go 8-4. To go 7-6 and have people be like, wow, Indiana sucked forever. This will be good enough. It was like, no, I understand that people think I'm just like a brash, arrogant asshole, and I'm saying, hey, Purdue sucks and Ohio State sucks, and so does Michigan. But he was like dead serious, and he was the only one that actually believed it. And then things start happening, and everyone else starts believing it. But that's the big thing, because I think even me as like an Iowa fan, and then you look at other Big Ten schools, I think after last year it was just like, that was cute. That was nice. That can happen in this era of college football. You can flip something in 1 year and go on a magical run, but now let's see you do it year in and year out because we know how good the Big Ten is. And then for him to respond this way and to have a better team this year than they had last year, like there is no doubt now. Like Indiana, and then this is before you even start. Now you're going to see the 4-star and the 5-star recruits want to start going to Indiana because the proof's in the pudding. It's like, hey, if you come here, not only are we going to develop you, but we have all the resources. And like, this is not the last time we're going to win the Big Ten championship. This is not the last time we're going to be potentially the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. Like, this is the expectation now. For
the conference championship weekend was crazy. First time, long time. First Big Ten title in 58 years for Indiana. First real conference title in 49 years for Texas Tech. Congrats to them, Cody Campbell and the boys down there. And then Duke, first ACC title in 36 years. Duke was certainly a fascinating one, because there is a theory or a thought that maybe the CFP just didn't want to leave the ACC out.
Probably.
There's that.
So that is why Miami moves up so drastically because they're like, we can't put Duke in. So then because Duke wins, that's Tulane, that's James Madison because they're champions bucket. So you drop Duke out. And then maybe the CFP is like, well, ACC is one of our power. This is one of our big ones. We got to have somebody in there. So maybe that's why they jump Miami up there. Then it just feels like you're desperate to do stuff just to do stuff. Then you're not trying to get the actual good teams. But, hey, they got a tough job. Happy I don't got to do it. I am thankful, though, that we got a chance to experience championship weekend in a huge way. And I think we kind of saw exactly how it was all going to go.